Hello, Xyceres here. Got another base review. This time it'll be Sauk City, which is a dangerous outpost. It is a small size. It has 6750. It was for its gen mat. It is a hardware advisor. This was actually another 750 base, except this time instead of keeping it on normal, I pushed it into dangerous to try and improve it a little bit. I think that was a mistake because I don't think it actually got much better when I pushed it to dangerous. And its kill ratio, as you can see here, 1.5, really suffered for it because it's not good enough to justify a dangerous rating. You'll see why in a minute. Yeah, 59 raids, 91 raiders killed for 1.5. Accolades are, I believe, like 60 something, but fun for 24, brutal for 9, ingenious for 13, and artistic for 9, making the most of them being fun and ingenious. I was trying something out that doesn't that I couldn't really get to work, which is the problem here, which is why Sauk City has such a low kill ratio. I think it's an interesting experiment, but it's not actually that interesting a map. But let's just show you what it looks like, and then we'll go for the tour, and we'll go more into that in a minute. That was also probably the worst loadout I could have used for this. Anyway, as you probably noticed, we have a bunch of hornets. We have a bunch of hornets around a pit with a single floating plasma sentinel and one down in the pit. And there's a few traps along the sides of the walls such that you can't really drop down anywhere. And there was some second wave guards that come out of here. Got some little, you can see their silhouettes here and here. And there's a couple more back here. The floor is filled in. That was a late addition because this is actually quite deep. There's a hole that goes a few more blocks down under pretty much every single one of these blocks. And I got sick of watching replays where someone was sitting at the bottom of the hole trying to grapple up for 10 minutes. That was a fairly late addition though. I also had intended to, over time, slowly build this up one layer at a time every time I prestiged it, so that it could get up to, like, here at Prestige 10, but I gave up on that plan because it was just getting too hard to get Harvey to path up there, which meant that I just couldn't be bothered with it. You've also got this alternating grey and blue. That's just for some colour variety. Anyway, each of these hornets has short leash because short leash is possibly the best mod on most guards. And because you're typically shooting at them from below, if I give them armor, you still hit the legs anyway, most of the time. Legs or wings. It's not really a good way to protect hornets that are quite high in the air, especially when they're path to stand guard like this, so they fly up a little bit and stand guard, and they all face the center. So I know that I'm expecting the player to come in from here, but I'm expecting them to, you know, get to like here, and these things will start aggroing because they're pointing it towards the center and catching them across the edges here, or to run into the center because that's where the Plasma Sentinel is and they need to deal with it. Honestly, I've not actually seen anyone go around, like, backstab all these guards. I get them in the back by going around the full edge. No one did that. It's possible to do, I guess, with a Falconic Plasma Bow. Just, you know, do a ring about this and just shoot each one in the back without ever even seeing the Plasma Sentinel. The tomb is down here. Just marked arrows towards it. No particular reason for this, it's just that it didn't work with the base idea that I had. Because I had this giant pit and I wanted to make use of it. Now, more about the giant pit. And the Plasma Sentinel, I guess. The Plasma Sentinel, I think, has extra range. Yep, Eagle Eye and Self-Destruct. The reason for this is if you look at the bottom of the hole, if they don't have Eagle Eye, they can only fire to about here. Which means if someone actually jumps down and gets to here, they cannot be fired on by that one. They can only be fired on by this one here. And a lot of these traps that I've got here, the bolt shots, they weren't there initially. I believe there is a bolt shot covering, if you were to look at this from the top down, every single space crossways is hit by at least one bolt shot, so that no matter which way the player decides to fall down, they will always get hit by a bolt shot. You'll notice when I was testing it, when I did the run, I tried to stick to the actual path, because even that one is not really aimed at the path. That is the only one that's actually on the path. Oh, that one as well. This one here, this one here, this one here, and I think there's one down here as well. Yeah, there's one there. They're all above the path, so if you actually just stay on the path, there's very few traps that actually can hit you. The intention was that these Hornets and Plasma Sentinels would cover the path fairly well. Which they would, but they normally die beforehand. What do we got? Yeah, so bolt shots, they were originally grapple traps, the iron claws with impalers next to them. I swapped them to bolt shots because bolt shots with Hunter are cheaper and do the same job in almost all cases. The only time to use an iron claw is if you've got something else. Iron claw impalers should only be used if you've got another threat alongside them. Because they do basically the same thing that the bolt shot does, and they have the same counters. You'll notice the full way down, the blue and grey, the concrete grey and the blue from the metal repeats in the same pattern as it does all the way down. And this last layer is mostly covered with corrosion cubes, with a couple exceptions for things where there was natural bedrock that I couldn't adjust. Second wave, I believe there is nothing. I believe there is not a single second wave trap because... Oh, there's no second wave traps. There is the two enforcers that come out here and the two hornets that are waiting down here. 3 hornets that are waiting down here. Okay. I thought it was only 2. So there's 3 hornets waiting down there as well. I think one of those might be getting stuck. That might be awkward. Yeah, it's just so that they're because of how close they are to the actual where they actually need to be, which should be up here somewhere. It doesn't take long for them to get into position to start defending. You can still pretty much just grapple straight up once you've grabbed the gen mat and normally get out fine. Particularly if you're aware that you can just go out any direction instead of having to go out the way you came in. Yeah, so I think that's everything with Sauk City. It obviously doesn't work anywhere near as much as I'd like it to. I honestly don't know how good these like up down these like open like holes like this are for actually making effective traps. So I don't know if there's an easy way to stop someone from just jumping down them in a lot of cases. And or for grappling straight up afterwards. Like if I put bombs here, they're never going to be effective because they only work on the ground. Same with cannon backs. The bolt shots with Hunter are not terrible, but like making sure they actually trigger is terrible because of how big and open this circle is. The impalers and pistons don't have anywhere they can go. You're kind of just stuck with these hornets, enforcers, plasma sentinels. I suppose incinerators. But incinerators are only really good when you're going back into that space, which why? Why would you in this case? Doesn't make any sense. And warmongers, you'll just be above or below them pretty much every time. It's unfortunate. There's this idea of like a giant pit going straight up or down in a large open area. It'll probably work better at some point when there's more traps and guards and such to work with that you can actually make this more interesting. But it just doesn't work with the current tools that we have, which is unfortunate. Which is probably why you don't see anything like this, and part of why this particular version didn't really work. But if you'd like to try it for yourself, it is on social at the moment and will be until the description says otherwise. So you're welcome to give it a try. But that is it for me for today, and the next one is Pontoon Beach, which is a normal difficulty map and one I actually quite enjoy. Until then, I shall see you.